remember that after the kick, this should be the next move because it puts pressure. If you play here, it allows white to what do you call it? Take advantage of the weakness of these stones, right?
Right.
And if you bunker down, it's worse. And then if you leave it alone, it's worse because now white can scoop you out, right? And so
That
this,
felt terrible.
yeah, this becomes a problem. Um, so that's essentially what happened. The thing about it though is, even though we went through the motions, um, maybe I should have just been happy with this and then played here because the outside is more important for me right now. My decision
Right.
to Atari here and then take this allowed you to come out, and so now these stones are very weak and these stones are very weak. So even though
Right.
you feel bad you lost the corner, in reality you should feel really good because white looks like trash out here, right? You have stones here, 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 and here. Is white gonna make any points here?
It would be difficult. I think you did make points, but
Not a lot, right? Like maybe two, three, four, right? And so
right.
it's really not that much. So with you making at least like I don't know 12, 15, and then even more over here. So the idea is that you shouldn't actually be sad with this result. You should actually be pretty happy I took the bait. I should have played on the outside, forced you to capture these stones, and then I can come out. And even though it's similar, the difference is that I'm a lot stronger now than what I look like in the game.
Right.
Um, so, but that didn't happen. So I just took your corner. So this was actually a win for you. I just don't think you realized it.
I was very happy when I saved those stones with N18.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And I can't prevent them. Like if I play here, then these stones just die.
Right.
Because you can either net me or you can play here and then uh, net
I
me.
was prepared to do that and then kind of decided not to, in favor of escaping through the top.
Yeah, yeah. It's once I prevent this now this becomes the better option, right? This would
Right.
have this is good too, because I can't stop you here,
Hmm.
right? And
Interesting.
so this move, this knight's move, is really good on the over here. All right, so once again I approach, you kick. This time you play here again, but this time you end up bunkering down, which
Yeah, and that was intentional.
yep,
I wasn't going to let the same thing happen, but I didn't have any problem with how it played up until then. So that
right.
was my theory for that corner.
This situation is better for white in my opinion, just because it's more solidly out, right? I have no worries, and you're kind of stuck inside, right? So
Hmm.
for white, I think this is better, and so that's why I explained bunkering down is the opposite of what you should do in handicap games. We should use them to fight. So in this case,
Hmm.
once again, this would have been a much better approach because what can white do now, right? White's just going to get pummeled, and you're just making points while you're pummeling white. So that's why this next move is very important to know if you're going to use the kick.
I
Um,
see.
and also, if somebody kicks you and they don't play this move, then you know the punishment is here.
Hmm.
It's a little vague on like what's gonna happen. Who knows what black's gonna do, right? But the idea remains this makes black very uncomfortable and it allows white to make black get sealed in, right? So this is really bad for black. To get sealed in this
Yeah.
early and give white good shape to break all this territory is bad.
Right.
I guess to finalize the thought, whereas this one I took the bait, so you got a good result. This was good for you, but in this one you didn't put any traps out, and then so now white is in a better position here. This white C
Hmm.
group looks a lot better than this white D group. When we compare apples and oranges.
I see.
So this is where you play, now you chose this immediately instead of playing here, right? So each corner
Yeah.
each corner was a test, right? And is it's funny how you went from like here, and then the next one you went to here, right? And so you finally got the a very correct result most of the time, but B would just been that much better.
Okay.
But yeah, it was funny. So this shouldn't. I don't know how you felt in this situation. Do you remember like how you felt when you played this move and this move?
I felt fine. I didn't feel good. I felt okay. I didn't feel like I gave up anything truly essential, but I knew that I wasn't thriving the way that I should.
Yes, yes, yes. Yeah, so for me, I would feel really bad playing this, and this is the mindset you kind of have to take in. This is the mindset you got to learn and change yours, which is you shouldn't feel good if you get sealed into the corner, right? So
Okay.
allowing white to, nearly seal you in. White needs one more move, but nearly seal you in. Like even if you played this, white's still doing kind of better, right? Like you're being hemmed down and bunkered
Yeah.
down when you should be trying to focus on splitting and fighting, right? Um, so this should feel bad. And like you said, you didn't feel great about it, but you didn't feel bad about it. So we just got to shift that mindset a little bit. But for now,
Should I have ever played E5?
um, so this is a very old school way of kind of doing it. Whenever there was like a double approach, this was used to be the old way. So this would have been better than what you played for sure. Um,
Mm.
maybe even here now because once again you're trying to split these two apart, right? It looks a little
Yeah, but I
silly.
felt like that was just being asked to be split.
Yeah, it does look silly. I'm not gonna say it doesn't because it does. But the mindset is there still, where you're trying to separate and fight. But once again, we can prevent all this wackiness anyway with just this move.
Okay,
So just
got it.
remember this: out of anything, out of everything and anything, was once you kick, you want to be looking for this move. Whether it's handicap or not, this move is very strong against these two stones. I normally wouldn't kick often unless you have a stone here, but that's up to you. People still play this kick even if the stone's not here. So, but yeah, we can, like I said, we can avoid all the questions and wackiness if we just remember this move here.
Yeah.
So this was in the better direction, right? Each time you did a corner, you got a little better each time in a way. So it was
That
pretty.
was intentional because I
Yeah,
felt really awful about the first one, and then the second and third were only slightly improved.
yeah, yeah. So this one, I wonder how did you feel about this one? Did you feel pretty good?
I did think about the F-16. I felt like it was getting me that whole top edge, more or less, and I felt like it was sealing the corner a little better than the other ones had without needing to fix it too much.
Right. Yeah, yeah.
Um, yeah.
So that's good. That's good that you were getting a sense of it. So let's see. I mean, this was fine. So ideally, I know you wanted to attack these, and in fact, actually, that is a good idea. So, yeah, I totally applaud this move. It looks a little weird to me. It looks a little too close. Maybe the breaking the dog's face would have been better, like shape wise.
Hmm.
Do you
Hmm.
recognize this shape?
Yeah, I see it now.
Yeah. So this usually sets up how to cut a knight's move. The knight's move can already cut through this, or you can cut through this knight's move just by generally playing this. But maybe white would have
Hmm.
played here, right, and given up these two stones. But um, this is a nice shape if you're trying to kill both groups. This one, I think it's a little too close to white, and it allowed white to get good shape with a bamboo jump.
Hmm.
Um, maybe you could argue that this would still happen, right? But look at how far ahead you are now. You're ahead in the race.
Hmm.
And can you see how that's like a improvement being in front of your opponent?
Yeah,
Yeah, whereas this one you're behind. So now you're behind and white gets the next move out.
right.
So this stone would have been better here, not here. And so that's why we use our shapes. If you learn your shapes, then you can use them, right? And so one of our shapes is breaking the dog face, right? This is very good for black.
Yeah, I read that down last time actually, and I'll try harder to recognize it when there are extra stones in the way.
Yeah, yeah, no worries. It takes time. I mean, that's why we're here to slowly teach you things and slowly break bad habits and make good ones. It
I
definitely
don't think
takes
I
time.
was looking for the dog face when it had, other groups attached to it. So this is new.
Yeah, 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 yep. Because you're used to just the central like three stones, right? You're used
Just the
to.
three. Yeah.
Yeah, yep, yep. Um, so when I with this move, I know that you're trying to attack this whole group. So we just have to analyze what do you think the best way to attack it is, right? And the best way is to hit its shape points. That's how we attack things. We make it so they can't make good shape. That's the key to hurting eye space. So
Right.
that's why this I'm drawn to this immediately, right? Like I wouldn't if I'm playing, I wouldn't look at this move. I would look at this one or this one if I can just directly cut. But either or is this goes for the whole pie. This is going for just a slice, right? This is only going for a slice of the pie. So all depends
Hmm.
on your judgment. This was great, breaking the tiger's mouth. You're making my shape rough, right? So
Hmm.
this move I don't think was the best. I think it much better to play this way. And here's why. Look at this direction and look at this direction, right? And so we have our two choices. We have this choice to fight for this direction, and this choice to fight for this direction. Which one has more value?
Um, so I'm still looking a little incredulously at all of your groups at, you know, except for the upper right, exactly how it lives. You've got three stones on the left, you've got three stones again on the left, and I'm feeling like something actually might die.
That's very good in thinking.
So, especially that bottom right would be juicy. So that's why I'm kind of sealing off the bottom right.
Okay.
Um,
This
but I,
this
I see what you're saying that there's more space
not only more
to
space,
expand into.
yeah, not only more space, but also when we judge the C group versus the D group, which one has more eye potential, right? When I look at
Right.
D, to me, D has such a strong, good shape. There's already one eye here, right? And so
Mm,
it really doesn't take much to make two eyes. And so this group is actually very strong compared to this group, which is just a stick. The stick doesn't have
right.
eye shape, right? And
Right.
so let's say if we went the other route, right? Let's just say we went something like this and we went over here and it just continued and you got stronger, right? You made some strength. um if white has to keep coming out or whatever, yeah, white's really not making any points, right? And black has the potential to make a lot. So we're already doing a good job of corralling white into doing what we wanted to do. So now that you have the strength, and once you reach the point where you have freedom, right? Now you can start poking and say, hey, do you want to stay connected with the stone? Do you want to stay connected
Hmm.
with this stone, right? And then we can come down here. And once again, we're using a one jump, right? It's almost like breaking the dog face shape, right? We're using our
Mm.
shape points to make sure white can't make any eyes. So, there, the whole point of me showing you this is that this group in particular, A here, is far weaker to me than B. So this is the group we should be thinking about, not B. So
I
that's
understand.
Yeah, that's the difference when we're corralling people. Because right now you're doing like, even I felt it. I was like, okay, this is bad for white, and he's doing a good job of corralling me, right? He's the shepherd dog, making the sheep run away, and the sheep are making no points, and you're making points on side A and side B. And so this was great for you. This is exactly how you should be using your handicap stones. Um, but now it comes a point where you have to keep corralling, right? And I think you chose the wrong side. Because now
Okay.
when white comes out, one, I made a dog face shape, which is heavily eye space, good shape, right? It's good space for eye, good shape for eye space. And two, now I get to almost connect with this. Now you did a great job of separating me, and this is where you were doing still a good job, right? So
And I did actually keep that separation throughout the game.
yeah, and until you died, right? Until you lost the stones here.
No, there's still stayed separated.
Oh, did they? Okay, well let's see.
Yeah.
So you this was an excellent move. Very, very good move. Um,
I wrote down must cut elephant's eye always. Haha.
that's funny. I like that. That's not exactly true, but in this case, it worked really well. Um, this was surprising though. So this is a very basic fundamental. I think we talk about it quite often, and it's not to make shapes that can be separated easily,
Right.
right? Because now you got separated, right? Didn't this feel bad? I would have felt bad here.
It felt terrible. That was actually the point at which we paused for the other review,
I see.
and
I see.
I stared at that for a while, and I could not come up with a happy result for blocking you at L8.
So when I look at
L8,
oh,
not
you're talking
L9.
about further right here. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
once again, you are correct, right? Because now you got two weaknesses and you're gonna get beat up, right? You're gonna get beat up, and then these are
Totally beat
probably gonna
up.
die.
Yeah. So you're
Um,
saying I should have done it differently before then. Okay.
yes, yes, which is here. What is the shape, right? You know this?
Hitting the head of 2 cents.
Yes, yes, yes. This is always, always, always a good shape. And so
Okay.
for you to do this, it would have been great. But instead, you played here, and now it's awful because now you're just weak and separated. And so these are the fundamentals. This is what I mean. This is a very basic thing. You know this already. It just takes time for you to really cement it, right? Um, yeah, you shouldn't. I hope you can kind of see how powerful this really is. Because if White's best move is here, and now you get to break a tiger's mouth, which is another good shape for you, right? And so,
Hmm.
yeah. Or if you wanted to keep the corral going, right, you can just corral. And even though you're gonna sacrifice a stone, you are gaining so much points here that it doesn't matter, right? This is what Marty did to Q in his game. He sacrificed like his three stones; they were around here, and then he took the rest of the board, right? And so this is that
Right.
same type of thinking where you just let these go and just take all the good stuff. But this was really bad, and this is to me is a very basic and fundamental thing, which is not to let your opponent split you with one move. Also, hit your opponent on the head of two stones. This would have been perfect. So this was a big mistake. Um, so
Yeah, that hurt.
these are all good exchanges. This is too heavy. I think. I think you can play more lightly. Yeah,
Hmm.
we've talked about heavy and light stones, right?
A little. I could use a little bit more, I guess.
No problem. Yeah. So with light stones, you kind of play them far apart, and even leave cutting points. And the idea is that if he cuts, and let's say now these stones would be fine, they would actually be perfectly safe. But let's say they weren't, right? The idea is that you played lightly, so you're perfectly accepted. It's perfectly acceptable to let these stones die, so that you can end up taking good shape in Sente.
Hmm.
That's the difference between light and heavy stones. When you play heavy stones, it's all live or die. You're all gonna live or die together, which can be
Hmm.
very disastrous, right? So sometimes it's better just to play light and let the person cut off a finger instead of the whole hand. Sounds gruesome, but I think it's a good analogy.
Okay.
And this is that high level sacrificing skills I keep mentioning. But yeah, when you played this, it allowed me to start really hammering down on these. So this was when I think you were still okay with black, right? You could have played kind of whatever you wanted.
Hmm.
And you would have been like safe, right? Your stones are still safe. But when you played over here, which was very far from the fight, now I've hit you on the head and I've hit you on the ass. Now you have to worry. And you played here, and that's what made me or allowed me to start really messing this up. Now, mind you,
I
that
thought the G9 stone kept me safe enough, but obviously not.
well, actually, I was gonna say right here, you're actually fairly safe if you just took this. The white has some weaknesses, right? So whites need to fix, and then you can connect up, right? You could have
Mm,
played something like this. So
mm.
you're correct in your assessment that this stone is still kind of saving your butt. But then you didn't play it. I think what did happen? Actually, I guess you did try and play it. What did
I
happen?
ended up losing all of them.
Yeah, I think this was unnecessary. But let me see. So I broke your tiger's mouth. Yeah, you still have a chance to get out here, but you played too slow.
I
And that
considered the one jump and was like, I don't know.
even with the one, yeah, with the one jump, it's tough.
Yeah,
It's tough.
yeah,
It's tough. This whole situation is tough. So I mean, I think if we stem back from just here to here, right? Like, I don't think that these stones needed to connect to these stones. I think if you just played it, like even if you just played something like this, you'd be able to make enough space for eye space.
hmm,
So in this
okay.
lesson, um, it didn't feel like you needed to connect these. So this was the unnecessary move that put you down a path that became really dark, right?
Right.
And I can't find, I mean, it's tough. Because if you do this, white connects very easy, right? And if you do this, then white can come out here, but you do get a lot of Aji against this group. It's really
I
hard.
kept looking at the Aji and feeling like it was too big already for me to really toy with that much. Oh, well, this was after you'd filled in C7, I guess.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
But yeah, all I can say is that these stones, as you can see, are very weak, right? And I don't
right.
think you help them, but I can see why, right? Because if you help this group, this would have been nice. But if you help this group, then these stones could die, right? And so that's kind of where you're coming from. Hold on. If white plays
I
something like this,
I think I really wanted, yeah, yeah. So yeah, exactly. That move, I wanted to connect the three four stones on the left.
yeah, you were hyper focused on this connection, and so that became, I think, your downfall for these stones at sea.
Yeah.
And once we got to this point, getting this capture was too good. Um, but even with this capture, in the end, you were able to hold on to all your points everywhere that you
Hmm.
made it, and it was just enough to squeeze through.
Right.
So all in all, you still won, but there was many battles and local techniques that we could learn about, right, from all this. Um, but yeah, in the end, you did great. You did what I said you were gonna do, which was do fair a lot better in our next 9x9 game, right? And you proved it. So
Right.
very good job. Lot to learn. Some of the most important things, like I said, one of them was just handling this kick, right? Learning how to use the kick is very good. right? Just this
Right.
one stone alone helps you significantly against these two stones and helps you build a big corner. So
Right.
that's something to remember. Another important thing was just understanding how it should feel when you get sealed in or bunkered, which is bad. Like this should feel bad. This should feel bad. This should feel really good actually, which is funny because I think you had the reverse thinking on these. Um, right, you were unhappy White took the corner,
Right.
but you should be super happy that you cut the middle because this is much bigger than the corner.
Hmm.
Um, and then yeah, so we just know it's here. So this will help out you tremendously for next week. Some other points is when you're planning to attack something, you want to find the shake points. So in this case, this breaking the dog's face, very beautiful shake point.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the other final lessons we can talk about is direction of play, right? We should, when we're corralling our opponent, which is what you're doing right now, you're corralling me, you're making me very uncomfortable, and you're pushing me around, which is good for you. So when you're doing this, you have to think of the aftermath, and you have to think of the value of where you want to push your opponent. When I look at this situation, these white stones are much stronger, so blocking here isn't going to gain you anything, right? If these white stones live, then this wall isn't going to make you points here. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah, so this means that this move isn't that valuable in the grand scheme of things. But over here, if you make strength, right? If you come up with a very strong wall here, these stones don't have good eye shape yet. And so these could get killed, which would be much more valuable, right? So here's the value like aspect that you got to keep in mind. And finally, this is just baby's first basics. Not to sound like I'm talking you down, but just understand this is like the first question in most graded 30Q books, which is where should black play next, right?
Mm.
And it talks about not allowing you to split, right? If we want to get really basic, the actual question that I'm talking about from an actual book is the question is where should black play now, right? Or where should white play now? We know as white we
Mm.
want to split here, and we know as
Mm-hmm.
black we want to protect here. And so this is, like I said, baby's first basics, and we can see even though there's a lot of extra stones in different situations, this is the same exact question, right? Pretty much, which we know to block here.
Gotcha.
But that's mainly it, Jason. Even though you said you were disappointed at some points, I hope you feel good in your win because you earned it. You did far better this time than you did last week.
I think it's like 53 points or something like that. Different.
Yeah, that's a big improvement, don't you think?
Yeah. Yeah.
So keep up your separation fundamentals. Keep up keeping your opponent small. Keep on the pressure and using your stones for attacking. And that all starts with this. This puts a lot of pressure on white, and it helps you build territory. I already went through the recap. I've harped on this enough, but plenty to learn, and we can definitely learn a little bit more tomorrow morning.